They left me in a nursing home without saying goodbye. I thought I'd die alone, until my daughter walked in one day and whispered, "I missed you." But what happened next? This is a story about broken bonds, buried secrets, and the courage to forgive. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on notifications. Stories like this one remind us that it's never too late for a second chance. The abandonment. The sound of the car engine faded into the distance, and just like that, I was alone. I sat by the window of my new room, if you could even call it that, at Maplewood Nursing Home, staring at the empty parking lot where Clara's sedan had been parked just minutes ago. No hug, no tears, not even a proper goodbye, just the rustle of paperwork, the click of her heels on the linoleum floor, and then silence. The nurse, a soft-spoken woman named Lisa, had tried to fill the quiet with small talk. "You'll like it here, Margaret. We have bingo on Tuesdays," as if bingo could make up for the fact that my own daughter had just walked out of my life. I didn't answer. The room smelled like antiseptic and old roses, the kind of scent that tries too hard to cover up the truth. The bed was stiff, the walls a pale yellow that might have been cheerful if I had any cheer left in me. But I didn't. Not after today. I reached for the framed photo on the nightstand, the last one Clara and I took together 2 years ago at her birthday dinner. We were smiling. At least, our mouths were. Her eyes had been distant for years, ever since the fight. The one we never really recovered from. "You always make everything about you," she had snapped that night. Even now. I should have said something. Should have told her the truth. But I didn't. And now it was too late. 6 months later. The days blurred together. I woke up, ate what they put in front of me, nodded when the nurses asked if I was comfortable. I wasn't. But what did it matter? Some of the other residents tried to be friendly. Doris, the woman across the hall, always waved when they wheeled her past my door. "You'll get used to it," she said once, like this was something you could just get used to. I didn't want to get used to it. Then, one morning, Lisa came in with a stack of mail. Bills, mostly. Junk. But at the bottom of the pile was an envelope with handwriting I'd recognize anywhere. Clara's. My hands shook as I held it. Why now? After all this time. Was she writing to tell me she was moving across the country? That she'd changed her number? That she never wanted to see me again in writing, just to make it official? I set it on the nightstand, unopened. Lisa hovered in the doorway. "Your daughter called today," she said carefully. "She asked how you were doing." I clenched my jaw. "She's not my daughter anymore." Lisa hesitated, then left without another word. I stared at the envelope. The longer I looked, the angrier I got. How dare she? How dare she call? How dare she write? How dare she act like she cared after leaving me here without a second thought? But beneath the anger was something worse. Fear. Because what if I opened it and it was nothing? What if it was everything? I reached for it once, then pulled my hand back. Not today. Maybe not ever. That night, I dreamed of Clara as a little girl. She was sitting at the piano, her small fingers stumbling over the keys as I guided her through Für Elise. She kept laughing, messing up on purpose just to hear me say, "Try again, sweetheart." When I woke up, my pillow was damp. The envelope was still there, waiting. And so was I. The letter. 3 days. That's how long the envelope sat untouched on my nightstand, taunting me every time I glanced its way. The sight of Clara's handwriting, loopy and hurried, just like when she used to scribble notes to me in high school, sent a sharp pang through my chest. I'd spent a lifetime recognizing that penmanship, grocery lists left on the fridge, birthday card signed Love, Clara. Even the angry note she'd slipped under my door after our last fight, "I can't do this anymore." And now this. I tried to ignore it, focused on the mindless routines of a nursing home, the 2 soft scrambled eggs at breakfast, the way Doris always hummed off-key during afternoon bingo, the squeak of Lisa's shoes as she made her rounds. But no matter how hard I tried, my eyes kept drifting back to that damn envelope. On the 4th morning, I woke up with a resolve I hadn't felt in months. Today was the day. I would open it, rip it like a bandage. Whatever was inside, I could handle it. I reached for it, my fingers trembling. Then Lisa knocked. "Margaret, your meds," she said, holding out a small paper cup. I swallowed the pills without protest, but my hands were unsteady, and the envelope slipped from my grip, fluttering to the floor. Lisa bent to pick it up, her eyes lingering on Clara's name in the corner. "You still haven't opened it?" I snatched it back. "It's none of your business." She sighed but didn't push. "Just remember, sometimes the things we're most afraid to face are the ones that set us free." I waited until she left before sinking back into my chair, the envelope crumpled in my fist. Set me free. What did that even mean? I wasn't trapped. I was forgotten. There was a difference. Still, I turned the envelope over, running my thumb along the sealed edge. One quick motion, and it would be done. No more wondering. No more dread curling in my stomach every time I looked at it. I took a breath and tore it open. The letter was short, just one page, but the words hit me like a punch to the ribs. "Mom, I was wrong. I shouldn't have left you like that. But you never told me the truth about Dad. I found the letters, the ones he wrote to you. I didn't understand before. I do now. Can we talk? Clara." My vision blurred. The letters? She couldn't mean. A memory flashed, sharp and sudden, the battered shoebox hidden in the back of my closet for decades. Faded envelopes tied with a ribbon. The shaky handwriting of a man who'd been sorry too many times to count. "Margaret, please. It won't happen again." But it always did. I'd kept them, though I never knew why. Proof of his guilt, of my weakness. And then, after the funeral, I'd shoved them deeper into the closet, buried them under old photo albums and winter scarves. Out of sight, out of mind, or so I thought. How had Clara found them? And why now, after all these years? My hands shook as I reread her words. I didn't understand before. God, she had no idea. I'd spent my marriage making excuses for him. He's tired. He's stressed. He didn't mean it. And when he died, I'd let Clara believe the best of him. The charming father who'd taught her to ride a bike. The man who'd laughed loudest at her silly jokes. I never told her about the other side. The broken dishes. The bruises hidden under long sleeves. The nights I'd locked myself in the bathroom just to breathe. Because what good would it have done? He was gone. And I was the one who'd stayed. Who'd let it happen. Shame burned in my throat. Claire wanted to talk. But what could I possibly say? Yes, your father hurt me. No, I never stopped him. And yes, I let you love him anyway. The letter slipped from my fingers, fluttering to the floor. Outside, rain began to patter against the window. And then, a knock. Not Lisa's polite tap. Harder. Firmer. I knew before the door even opened. Clara stood there, her coat dripping wet, her eyes red-rimmed and determined. "Hi, Mom," she whispered. And just like that, the past and the present collided. The confrontation. The air left my lungs in one sharp exhale. Clara stood in the doorway, rainwater glistening in her hair, her fingers clutching a worn photo album against her chest like a shield. For a heartbeat, neither of us moved. The last time I'd seen her, really seen her, was the day she walked out of this place without looking back. Now here she was, breathing hard, as if she'd run through the storm to get here. My mouth opened, closed. No words came. She stepped inside, letting the door click shut behind her. The scent of rain and her old perfume, something floral she'd worn since college, filled the space between us. "You read my letter," she said. Not a question. I nodded toward the crumpled page on the floor. Wasn't much to read. A flicker of hurt crossed her face. She bent to pick it up, her movements slow, deliberate. When she straightened, she held out the photo album instead. "Remember this?" Of course I did. The full leather cover, cracked at the edges. The gold-stamped letters. Family memories. I'd made it for her high school graduation, filling it with pictures from her childhood, birthday parties, vacations, Christmases. All the moments I'd wanted her to carry into adulthood. All the moments I'd carefully edited. My throat tightened. "Why do you have that?" She set it on my lap, flipping it open to a page near the middle. A snapshot of the three of us, Clara, maybe 7 years old, grinning between me and her father at the beach. His arm around my shoulders, my smile a little too wide. "Look at your face," Clara whispered. "You're terrified." I recoiled. "Don't be ridiculous. It was a happy day." "Was it?" Her finger tapped the photo's edge. "Because I found this in the same box as Dad's letters. And once I started looking, I saw it everywhere. In pictures, in memories, the way you'd flinch when he raised his voice. How you always said you were clumsy when you had bruises. Her voice broke. Mom, why didn't you tell me? The room tilted. All these years, I'd thought I'd hidden it so well. Tell you what, my hands fisted in the quilt, that your father lost his temper sometimes. That I let him. What good would that have done? Let him. Her eyes flashed. You make it sound like you had a choice. I did. The words tore out of me, raw and ugly. Every damn time, Clara. I chose to stay. I chose to cover for him. I chose to let you think he was some kind of hero. I was your daughter. She slammed the album shut. You were supposed to protect me. From what? I shot back. He never touched you. The second the words left my mouth, I knew I'd made a mistake. Clara went very still. No, she said softly. Just you. Silence. Somewhere down the hall a nurse laughed. A cart rattled by. Normal sounds, grating against the earthquake inside this room. Clara sank into the chair across from me, suddenly exhausted. All those times I yelled at you for being overprotective. I thought you were just controlling. But you were trying to keep me safe, weren't you? In the only way you knew how. I couldn't speak. The truth sat between us, heavy as the album in my lap. Then, a crack of thunder. The lights flickered once, twice, and went out. In the sudden dark, Clara's voice was barely audible. I left you here because I was angry. But mostly, I was scared. Scared that if I looked too close, I'd have to admit I'd spent my whole life loving a man who hurt you. Rain lashed the windows. Somewhere, a generator kicked on, casting the room in dim emergency lighting. I saw her then, really saw her. Not the furious woman who'd stormed in, but the little girl who'd once believed her father hung the moon. The woman who just had that illusion shattered. My fingers found hers in the shadows. I'm sorry, I whispered. And for the first time in decades, I meant it. The whisper. The storm raged outside, but inside that dimly lit room, something fragile and new began to take shape. Clara's fingers tightened around mine, her skin warm despite the chill in the air. I could feel the calluses on her palms, years of holding paintbrushes too tight, just like when she was a teenager determined to prove herself. The familiarity of it made my chest ache. I missed you, she said. 3 words. So simple. So devastating. The last time I'd heard them, she'd been 6 years old, whispering them into my hair after a nightmare. Now, 25 years later, they carried the weight of all our silences, all our unsaid truths. The emergency lights flickered, casting shadows across her face. For the first time, I noticed the faint lines around her eyes, lines that hadn't been there when she'd left me in this place. I thought you hated me, I admitted, my voice rough with unshed tears. Clara let out a shaky breath. I did. For a while. Her thumb brushed over my knuckles, the same way I used to soothe her scraped knees. But then I found those letters, and I realized I'd been hating the wrong parent all along. A sob caught in my throat. All these years, I'd been so afraid she'd blame me for staying. I never imagined she'd blame herself for not seeing. The photo album lay forgotten between us. Clara reached for it, flipping past the beach photo to a page near the back, a snapshot of her high school graduation. Her father stood proudly beside her, his hand on her shoulder. My stomach twisted. I need you to tell me the truth, she said, tracing the edge of the photo. All of it. No more protecting me. The lights surged back on suddenly, harsh and bright. I blinked against the glare, but there was no hiding now. No more shadows to retreat into. So I told her. About the first time he'd hit me, a careless backhand when I'd burned dinner, shocking us both into silence. About the apologies that came after, sweet as poison. About the careful calculus of keeping peace, making sure his coffee was just right, the house spotless, Clara quiet when he'd had a bad day. Most of all, I told her about the shame, the awful, choking shame of knowing I should leave and staying anyway. Clara listened without interrupting, tears streaming down her face. When I finally fell silent, she didn't offer empty comfort, didn't tell me it wasn't my fault. She just took both my hands in hers and said, "We should have protected each other." Outside, the rain slowed to a gentle patter. Somewhere down the hall, a clock chimed midnight. Clara wiped her eyes and stood abruptly. "Pack your things. What? I'm taking you home. She was already pulling clothes from the closet, moving with a determination I hadn't seen in years. I'm selling the condo. You're moving in with me. The world tilted. You don't have to. I know. She paused, a sweater dangling from her hands. I want to. For the first time since coming to Maplewood, I let myself imagine it, waking up to actual sunlight instead of fluorescent lights, cooking in a real kitchen, hearing Clara's laughter drift down the hallway. But old fears die hard. What if we're no good at this? Clara knelt beside my chair, her eyes fierce. Then we'll be no good at it together. That night, as she helped me into her car, my few belongings packed in the trunk, the photo album tucked safely between us, I realized something. They'd left me in a nursing home, yes, but love had come back for me. And this time it was staying. The engine purred to life. Clara reached across the console and squeezed my hand. Ready, Mom. For the first time in years, I was. This story was about broken pieces finding their way back together. But what about yours? Have you ever left something unsaid that needs to be spoken? Or waited too long to mend what was broken? Share your story in the comments below. We all heal when we dare to be honest. And if this moved you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because everyone deserves a second chance, including you.